Maigavanin, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, Maigavanin means well met in J.R.R. Tolkien's language. Today we are going to talk all about his famous quote about home. J.R.R. really, I think, he loved the idea of home. In the nature of his upbringing, he lost both of his parents early on, and he was put into an orphanage. And so home to him has a lot of different meanings. And I found in looking deeper into his interpretation of what home is, that it means many different things to him. But home was always a positive force of comfort, of rejuvenation and refreshment from the outside world. And you see this a lot in his Rivendell. So I wanted to read you a quote about Imildris, or Rivendell, in Many Meetings chapter in the Fellowship of the Rings. Frodo was now safe in the last homely house east of the sea. That house was, as Bilbo had long ago reported, a perfect house. Whether you like food or sleep or storytelling or singing or just sitting and thinking best, or a pleasant mixture of them all, merely to be there was a cure for weariness, fear, and sadness. So I picked that particular quote, but he also has another one I wanted to read to you too. He said this: "Home is behind, the world ahead, and there are many paths to tread, through shadows to the edge of night, until the stars are all alight. Then world behind and home ahead. We'll wander back and home to bed. Mist and twilight, cloud and shade, away shall fade, away shall fade." So in this particular quote here, you can especially see that he sees home as like a safe haven. And this always resonated with me greatly when he's talking about home, whether it's Lothlorien, the forest home of the elves, or Mirkwood, or Rivendell, or even the Shire for the happy hobbits. He's talking about the idea that this is a refuge, a place where you can go back to, lay down in bed, and kind of forget the troubles of the world for a little bit. Home to him was like a sacred sanctuary. And in fact, Rivendell was a sacred sanctuary, and that's kind of how he designed it. If you're interested in learning more about Rivendell and hearing more of the actual details of it, I have a video that is coming up next after this one, and I'll also link it in the description for you too, because I picked out points where Rivendell was described and what the Noldor elves made their home and what Rivendell represented to Tolkien. So home to me has always been the same way, especially this year with the quarantine going on. When you are either forced to stay home for a long period of time, or if the outside world looks particularly uninviting to you and maybe you've had some hard times in relationship dynamics, home can be a place of refuge, as Tolkien suggested, that you can go out into the night and you can go on adventures and you can, experience all these different things, but you always have your bed to come back to and lay down and kind of forget it all and just dream. And as he said in the end, away shall fade, away shall fade. So all of the adventures, all that you have experienced will fade as you go to sleep in your own bed at night. So those of us who have a home, we are very fortunate to have one and to call it our own shelter, and we can design it and decorate it as we see fit. And it's really a haven to us. It kind of houses our souls and what we wish to surround ourselves with. And I've really appreciated being at home this year. Being at home with my pets and my husband, and just understanding that home is this place that is really just a comfortable place to be. And when the world seems a little chaotic and there's lots of things that are going on, you always have your home to kind of, rest back in, which is really wonderful. For those in the world that don't have a home, I did find more interesting information on a really wonderful documentary about homelessness. And what is interesting is that nature is their home and becomes their home, those who are homeless. So what ends up happening is when they do get a home and they go inside and indoors, they realize that home is outside. And so indoors, they actually feel more claustrophobic and that it's too small of a space for them. And it's interesting because that's kind of how I feel too. Although I like the coziness of my home, I like wide open spaces and I like to be in nature, and especially in the forest and fields. I feel more at home there too. So home is kind of where you make it and where the heart is. It's not a particular place. It's more about a feeling inside of you. And home can change. Home can become different things throughout your life. Your home could be just the sacredness of nature. Your home can become your cozy little haven that you created at home with others. Or it can simply be people and feeling like you have friends and a great support system around you. I've asked a couple people about what home is, and one of the things that is always clear to me is that it represents the people that you love, your friends or your family. That is home too. So home is many different ideas. It's not just a physical place. And what I loved about the description of Rivendell is in this here, where he says, whether you like food or sleep or storytelling or singing or just sitting and thinking best, or a pleasant mixture of them all. So it's whatever you make it to be. It can be a place of partying and singing and dancing, as some of the elves did during the feasts, or it could be just a place to rest and rejuvenate yourself, or it can be a place where you are just enjoying a good meal, and you can also tell stories to each other, or you could just sit and reflect. It's a place where you can be yourself. Quite literally, no one can see what you are feeling in your home. It is the place where you can cry, where you can scream, where you can get angry, where you can express yourself fully when sometimes you feel like you might not be able to in public. So home is a refuge and a place where it allows you to be who you really are. And that is the most amazing thing about the idea of a home. As one of the comedians said, that made me laugh, I think it was Carlson, said that really home is just like a place with a box, and you put your things in a box, and that's what home can be to people. But that's what home could be to him. But home to me can mean more than just that. But in the small of it, I guess that's the funny way of thinking it, is that we build this box on earth and we put things inside of it. But what we put inside of that box really matters. And what I'm discovering is that less is more, and that you make sure that the energy in your house is clear and positive, and that any kind of toxic relationships or dynamics between you and others who are in your home, that you seek to work through it so that you're not in a home where it's uncomfortable for you to be home, because your home really should be a sacred space for you to be yourself and to feel safe. So I think that that's the most amazing thing about the idea of a home, is that it really is what you create it to be. And it can be many different things. It's not just one physical place. It's not just a couple different people in your lives. It can mean many different things to you. And we all have different perspectives of what home is. And as I was talking about with the documentary, you can go ahead and you can ask somebody who doesn't have a home, and they might show you their perspective of what home is. So it's really amazing to think about all the different ways that we can think about home. But in particular with Lord of the Rings, the descriptions of home is very magical, warm and inviting, a place for the weary traveler to rest their head, whether you're in the Shire, whether you're in Rivendell, whether you're in Lothlorien. Of course, if you come with bad intentions, then that home is not going to be very inviting for you. But if you come in good intention to just have a place where you can rest, or you can rejuvenate, or you can just be yourself and make friends, then it seems like Lord of the Rings homes are the type of place where you are all invited, you are all welcome to go. And you see that in J.R.R. Tolkien's character. And maybe it's because he himself didn't really have a particular home, because he started out living with his family, and his father passed away and his mother passed away, and eventually he lived in an orphanage. So maybe he just learned that home is wherever you go to and where you end up next, and you can make it a safe place for you and a safe haven. But it really is what's on the inside that really counts, inside of yourself, as well as what you feel within your house. And so it's really amazing to see how home has evolved over the ages. And as somebody said in the chat, simplifying your life in terms of minimalism is something that's also coming up with what does a home mean? Does a home mean that you have to fill it up with all these things? Or is it more about quality versus quantity that really matters in life? So these are all questions to kind of ponder and reflect on today with this quote about home. And like I said, you can listen to what Rivendell looks like in terms of its full description in the link I provide below. I hope you all enjoy your happy homes, and I will see you all in the next video. Thank you for watching. Hananle.